Kyron Horman was born on September 9th, 2002 in Portland, Oregon to parents Desiree Young and Kane Horman, though they would unfortunately divorce 8 months into the pregnancy after Kane was found to have been having an affair with a substitute teacher named Terri Moulton. Kane and Desiree were granted joint custody. However, in 2004, Kyron now being 2 years old, Desiree was diagnosed with kidney failure, which required heavy medical attention. Due to this, Kane took over full custody of Kyron, though Desiree still saw her son and continued to help raise him. In 2007, Kyron was now 5 years old when his father Kane and his lover Terri actually got married. In December the following year, Kyron was now 6 when Terri gave birth to his half-sister Kiara, and this was when tragedy struck. On June the 4th, 2010, Kyron was now 7 years old when he was taken to school by his stepmother Terri. They attended a science fair, which is when the final known photograph of Kyron Horman was taken.
Some people say you photoshopped this picture.
Right.
There were people standing there with you that have nothing to do with the case other than that they work at the school that said, I was standing there when she took the picture. I saw her take the picture.
And the PTA president, she was there, and she actually had mentioned, yes, that she saw me do it.
So, I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, people saw you take the picture.
Terri then took Kyron around to some other exhibits before leaving the premises around 8:45 a.m. She claimed to have last seen him walking down the hallway to his first class. After school, Terri, her husband Kane, and their daughter Kiara went to the bus stop to greet Kyron, but the driver, confused, claimed that he never got on the bus after school. The family rushed to the school to find out that not only was he not there, but he never turned up to his first class and had even been marked absent for the entire day. Kyron Horman was never seen again.
Is your child alive?
I really hope so. I really hope so.
You believe there's a chance that he's still alive?
Oh, I will until the day that I die, and I still will. Even if they tell me that he's not here anymore, I'll still believe that he's going to come through the door.
Right. Where are you on that issue?
I believe he's alive. I think through the investigation and the progress that they've made, the searches that we've done, they haven't turned up anything. And until, as they do that, through, we'll say, process of elimination, that scenario continues to become more and more likely. I think it starts out, it's a very narrow percentage, and it continues to grow in likelihood. And I've believed it from the beginning, and I still do. Do
you think Kyron will ever be found alive?
J.C. Dugard was. Elizabeth Smart was. So yes. Unless I am told otherwise in some way, shape, or form, or shown, I'm going to always believe that he's alive and out there.
A search was administered on a 2-mile radius around the school as well as on Sauvie Island, 6 miles away, for reasons we'll go over later. On June the 12th, around 300 people were searching wooded areas near the school, and this would last for over 10 days straight. This was the largest, most extensive search in the history of the state of Oregon. A reward of $25,000 was offered for his discovery, which later increased to $50,000, but it gained no results. To this day, no one has been listed as an official suspect or a person of interest, but the media and the general public have certainly shone their attention to one particular person: Kyron's stepmother, Terri Horman, who now goes by her maiden name of Terri Moulton.
I believe that Terri Horman knows where Kyron is.
You believe that she knows something, or you believe she is involved in this in some way?
Both. I believe she's involved in this. I think she is the one that has all the answers.
I need people to know I did not harm my son. The reason I'm speaking out now is I want the focus to be on Kyron, not me. I'm being unfairly portrayed in the media. I'm not this monster that people are suggesting that I am. There have been a lot of false accusations, from me being involved in his disappearance, which is totally wrong, to whether or not he had a doctor's appointment for the following Friday, which he did, to me being a falling down drunk, which I'm not, to a murder for hire, which did not even happen, never took place. Even taking the photo of Kyron at school, the last photo that we know of, people have suggested that I photoshopped that. I don't even know how to Photoshop.
On March the 29th, 1998, 12 years before Kyron went missing, Terri was hit by a drunk driver, and this accident caused lasting repercussions. Afterwards, she began to suffer from severe migraines, the accident causing a pinched nerve near her spine. Regardless, Terri went back to work and earned a bachelor's degree in elementary education. She was described as a person who truly loved children. She had a son from a previous relationship called James Ecker and was described as being a devoted mother. Though in 2005, she was actually charged with driving under the influence, as well as endangerment to a child, as he was in the car with her at the time.
Was Terri a drinker? Is she a drinker?
I believe that she was, yes.
Did she get a DUI?
She did back in 2005.
What was she charged with at the time? Do you know?
I believe it was a DUI and also child endangerment. Her son was in the back seat.
Okay. So did you know about that?
No, I didn't know till Kyron went missing.
Until he went missing, you didn't know that she had been charged with driving under the influence and child endangerment.
And I most certainly would have done something about that.
However, once married to Kane, he claimed that not long after the DUI charge, Terri's behaviour began to change. She started bodybuilding and going to the gym a lot more frequently, and supposedly became a lot more self-centered. She's not eating a lot of food, she's exercising twice a day, she's up at 4 o'clock in the morning, she's not sleeping at night, so we just get general irritable behaviour towards everyone around her.
Did you see her abuse alcohol?
I didn't witness it directly, no.
She didn't do it around you?
Not in front of me, no.
All right, well, Desiree claims that there were red flags involving Terri that Kane witnessed, but claims she was kept in the dark about Terri's behavior until it was too late.
We actively talked about alcohol in the home, and we tried to restrict that, and we did take some conscious steps, and it seemed like things got better. It was over several years, and Terri had started increasing the levels of alcohol in the home. Oftentimes I would go downstairs and my daughter would be roaming around the house with her passed out on the couch, and that's when I started to get a little worried. You can't even get up in the morning. I mean, it was getting a little bit beyond the norm.
You said at one point you saw her passed out on the couch. Mm-hmm. So you did know she was drinking.
Well, the part that I didn't understand is with the surgeries and things she'd had, I didn't know if it was medication related. She had valid stories for being up all night with my daughter and being tired. As far as the consumption, I never saw her consume excess in front of me. There were some residual things that I was starting to notice that I was starting to become concerned about.
She said you had a drinking problem and passed out in the house and left the children unsupervised.
No.
And her fear was that you might have been abusing the children.
Oh, no. No.
No one's ever presented any evidence of that. It's just her concern.
No.
She disputes these claims, though she did admit to drinking behind her husband's back in order to help her sleep. Several colleagues and friends have confirmed that her attitude and demeanour all grew worse in the last year before Kyron's disappearance, though they insisted that they would be shocked that a woman who devoted so much of her life towards teaching children could ever do such a thing to her own.
A year before Kyron went missing, we started seeing a lot of behavior that indicated something was wrong. I started seeing him wetting the bed again at night. When he was up at his dad's and his dad was not there, Terri would call me. Kyron would be crying and she'd want me to come and get him.
Sometimes he didn't want to go to mom, sometimes he wanted to go back. I think it was just typical for a child his age making transitions between households. There was never a huge meltdown.
Kyron would say to me, I don't want to go back. I want to stay here and live here with you. He was so upset, he didn't even want to get in the car. I told my husband, I'm going to break the law. I'm keeping my kids here because there's something going on and I feel it. And of course, my husband had to talk me down. It's illegal, you'll get arrested. And Kane had to tell Kyron he had to go back. Terri had a conversation with me asking if I could take custody of Kyron, and I told her, I want custody of my kids, but Kane assured me that it is not an option.
It makes me sick that I didn't push it harder, or that I knew in my gut that something was wrong. I tried to get Kane to give me custody. I should have fought harder, and I would go back in a second to fix it if I could. I will never in this lifetime forgive myself. Never.
I've had many drives for custody exchanges where he has cried and melted down because he didn't want to come see you. And I never told you that because I didn't need to tell you that. He was having a hard time adjusting at times. It's not like it's unusual in these circumstances. So he was having to deal with split homes, and he dealt with it at times. It was tough for him.
Kyron's class had a colour grading system based on their behaviour, green being good, yellow showed signs of inattention, blue was a sign of trouble, and red was so bad that they would be sent home. If Kyron ever had a bad day at school, Terri began cracking down on him far harsher than before. If students received a red or blue card, the teacher would call their parents. But Terri allegedly rang the teacher herself every single day to find out how he had behaved, which most found excessive, especially considering his age.
I love Kyron. I miss him very much. I absolutely consider myself to be his true mother. I was there for everything. I'm suffering too every day without him. People need to know that I have nothing to hide. I did not kill him. I did not kidnap him, and I just want him found.
Her attitude allegedly changed further when Kiara was born. She doted upon her daughter, but reportedly would lose her patience with both James and Kyron a lot more frequently. To the point Terri sent James away to live with his grandparents, without even discussing it with Kane. Desiree claims that there were certain emails between Terri and her friends where she shows a strong disdain for Kyron, though it's worth noting that evidence of these emails have never been provided.
You say you've read emails where she says that she hated your son. How do you feel about that?
It's very upsetting. I don't know how anybody could feel that way about my son. He's a great kid.
Are you upset with yourself and with Kane? I mean, did you not see this? Were you surprised by it?
Yeah, I was. There was
so you
something
had no
in it.
idea this woman hated your son, or at least has now reported, said hated your son.
Yeah, in the discussion with the piece right there, it was indicated that I had knowledge of this, which I did not.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, no, not at all.
I'm not assuming you did
I
at all.
haven't seen any emails, so hearing that's a little bit of a shock to me.
There is no email or writing. I don't even know what she's... Wow. No. So much to address in that.
I've never seen one of those emails.
Never either.
They didn't produce any of them to us. Did you ever write any of those emails? Did you ever say any of those
No,
things?
that's not even a word I would ever even use.
Did you ever feel any of those things toward Kyron?
No.
Did Terri hide this from you? Did you ever see her being annoyed with him, short with him, neglectful of him? Looking back, did you miss things?
I think absolutely I did. I think at the time the economy was going a really bad direction for all of us. I was focused on work. I was focused on all of a sudden we had a new daughter coming that wasn't expected. We had a lot of things that were happening in life, and I spent a lot of my time focused on my kids and focused on my job, and I didn't focus on her. And I definitely should have spent more time. But I've also, in hindsight, in all the discussions I have with other people, most normal people aren't investigating their spouse on a day-to-day basis.
Of course. How'd you get along with Kyron? I mean, he looked real happy at the science fair picture that day.
Yeah, he's proud. He should be proud. Yeah. He did a great job. He's my son. He's been in my life since he was 3 days old. 3 days.
Did you have any different emotion about him than if he had been your biological child?
No. I'm adopted.
You loved him the same as if you had given birth to him.
Absolutely.
Yourself. No difference.
No.
So when we think about the impact of this loss on you, we should think about this the same as if this was your biological child.
Absolutely.
Terri claims that Kyron was actually seen by a few people at the school after she had left, including a male chaperone and 2 children. But none of these people have come forward to confirm this. She also claims that a strange man was lurking around a nearby gas station the night before the disappearance, pacing around for an hour before asking where the closest school was. But as before, nobody has ever come forward to confirm this story. Furthermore, she claimed that doctors believed Kyron was having mini seizures, and she had set up an appointment for the week after he disappeared, despite the school being under the illusion that his appointment was on the day he vanished, which is why they didn't think anything was wrong after seeing him at the science fair, but then not seeing him for the rest of the day.
On June 4th, 2010, there was a science fair at the school. Kyron was so extremely proud of what he was doing for the project. I was really upset that I couldn't be there because I wasn't able to take the day off.
It was a normal morning, nothing seemed out of place. We got ready together and I went to work and I saw him walking out to the car before I left and gave him a hug, told him I loved him. Normal interaction.
I received a phone call about 4:20 in the afternoon from the secretary. She said, I was asked to call you by law enforcement to notify you that Kyron's missing. And I didn't know what to do with that because why hadn't Kane called me? Why hadn't Terri called me? How was he missing? Because I had tons of emails confirming that he was there. And so I went to call Terri and I said to Terri, you went to the science fair, how is he missing? She said to me, almost like she had a piece of paper there that she was reading. I dropped him off at the school at 8:15. I didn't see him to his classroom. I almost walked him all the way there, but I didn't see him go into his classroom. And I'm going, whoa, 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 whoa. What do you mean you didn't walk him to his classroom? She was in the classroom. She took the photo. But that wasn't what she was telling me at all. So then I said, well, I'm coming right now. I told my husband, we gotta get to Portland. And I was so extremely frustrated with the fact that I was 4 hours away. And then I started to panic. Kyron doesn't have his coat. Kyron is outside and the sun is starting to set. He's gonna get cold. Then I started going over the conversation with Terri again in my head. I looked over at Tony and I said, if she hurt Kyron, you're gonna have to hold me back because I am gonna wanna hurt her.
Well, that's not how she was when she showed up at the house a few hours later because we all exchanged hugs. That was not at all how she was on the phone. It was a very quick conversation. I was outside actually when we arrived at the school, talked to her on the phone. I did. I told her a quick rundown of what happened and we both were crying on the phone. And I said, are you on your way? And she said, yes. And I said, okay. I said, I'll call you about every hour and give you any update or anything that's going on, just so she knew, because I knew it was about a 5-hour drive.
Desiree claims that Terri sometimes would ask her to take custody of Kyron, and she wishes she fought harder to do so.
When he would go down for long stints, like a summer or a spring break or something, he'd come back and he'd be kind of sad. And so I'd ask him, do you want to call your mom and just check in with her? And yes, and they would talk back and forth. And he mentioned to me one time that he wanted to go live with his mom. And I said, okay, well, if that's something that you feel strongly about, let's go talk to your dad, or you can talk to your mom about it. And I told Kane about it, but I never knew what he and Desiree discussed about it.
Did you want her to take him?
No, in fact, I had spoken to one of, before all this happened, when he was a little bit younger, I had spoken to one of the family, his side of the family, have an attorney about adopting him. I wanted to adopt him, and I wasn't able to do that because obviously she's a biological mother.
However, there were also current troubles in the relationship with Kane. Arguments were common, and allegedly, in the early hours of the morning of Kyron's disappearance, Kane and Terri had an explosive disagreement, though this claim has also been disputed.
That didn't happen?
No, it was a normal morning for me. Up at 5 o'clock to the gym, back home, get ready for work, kiss Kyron goodbye, go to the office.
But you're saying that that you have seen, personally read, an email from her account to a friend of hers that says, we're fighting till 3 a.m. in the morning, filing, out of here, gone.
Yep.
And you're saying that you did not fight till 3 in the morning. Did you fight till 2 or 1 or 12 or 11 or 10? There was no big blow up that night.
No.
Are you shocked to hear this? That there's an email that she's written? Why does that not surprise you?
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of information where she's writing things down, and we go do the interviews even with law enforcement, and the actual activities don't match the emails.
First of all, there was no something written, I don't know what she's talking about written, because Kay and I did not have a fight the night before.
So you two were not on the brink of divorce?
We had issues, but we weren't fighting. We didn't fight. It was discussions, maybe heated discussions, but we didn't have screaming, yelling matches of any kind. But of course, people are going to have, not see eye to eye in a marriage.
But was the marriage unwinding at this point? Was the marriage in trouble?
I was unhappy, yeah.
You were unhappy?
I was unhappy.
And did he know that?
I had told him as much, but he's not very good at listening sometimes.
Because I've seen footage and all of the press asking you about that, and you're saying, no, everything's fine, that's all a rumor.
I was told to. I was told by law enforcement when that particular thing they told me, if you get caught by the media for any reason, if they come on you and you're not expecting it, just whatever you can make up at the time. Just make sure, just tell them everything's fine if they ask. That's what I was told to say.
But you lied to the media.
Yes. In that case, yes, because I was told to.
So some cop tells you to lie about your status, and you say, okay. Some cop tells you don't go and talk about finding your son, and you say, okay. I don't understand that. It would seem to me, if your son is missing, absolute transparency would be your #1 tool in finding that child. I've worked with law enforcement a lot, and I've heard them say to principals involved in a case, don't talk to the media. I've never heard them say, tell them a flat-out lie about your status.
That's exactly.
I've never heard that. They ask you about your marital status, lie.
They said if you get caught off guard, you say whatever you need to get them to get out of your space. And so when they came, I said everything's fine.
Furthermore, days before Kyron was last seen, Terri supposedly claimed that she was unhappy in the relationship and planned to file for divorce, which would have been on the exact same day that Kyron vanished. With the days and weeks that passed after Kyron's disappearance, Terri was caught posting questionable things on social media and having bizarre conversations with people, unlike a mother grieving the loss of a child.
You love this little boy.
Yes.
As your own child. So it's fair to evaluate your conduct the same as any mother that has lost a child.
I've lost 2.
So that's important that we know that that's how you view it, right?
Yes.
You're posting on Facebook a few days afterwards with things that some people were critical of. For example, saying, hit the gym tomorrow. I didn't get home until 8 p.m. tonight. This is 4 days after Kyron has gone missing. Mm-hmm. At this point, you don't know if he is been kidnapped and is being raped and tortured, is lying dead and cold in a ditch. You don't know what is going on. And you say, hitting the gym tomorrow, I didn't get home until 8 p.m. tonight. That, I think, would be viewed as a lot of people as atypical behavior for a distraught mother of a missing child.
Well, that would be because the law enforcement told us to do things that we normally do. So they want you to go grocery shopping. They want you to go to the gym. They actually specifically told both Kane and I, and he was with me that day when we went.
Did they tell you to sext with someone 26 days afterwards?
No.
Because I found this really strange behavior, and I have to tell you, I have a hard time squaring this up, and I have to say, I took out, there were many of these that I just simply, FCC can't put up, and I'm only putting your side up here, but you're texting with a man. Okay, I didn't want to ravish you or anything. Insert evil grin with latex. Whoops, did I say that out loud? If you didn't have your son tonight, I would show you what I think of you. I may have to clear it with the boss. Grin, going to bed, underwear and tank top. Think about that. Do you want to pick? Then you send a photo and say, that's only the left one. I quote unquote aim to please. Did you want something bigger? Another photo. I mean, it gets much more graphic. So this, we're talking not 3 weeks that your son has been missing.
And not 2 weeks into it, this is what Kane's doing with somebody else.
Well, I'm talking about you as a mother.
Exactly.
Kane's not here. He's been here. You're here. I'm asking you, you're a mother with a missing child.
This was in retaliation for something that he was doing that I found out about while this was happening. And this particular person was actually his friend and sent to the house. So this was a setup. I'm saying this person came to the house. He was Kane's friend. I did this deliberately because I was angry and getting back at him.
So you text and say, I'll show you what pleasure is?
I had no interest in having this person in my life. This was something to screw with Kane because I was angry with him because he was doing the exact same thing with somebody else.
But you apparently are trying to hide it because at one point you say, I can't talk, bugs in the house, in danger if I go outside. I want you so bad. I don't know what it is about you, but I'm very attracted to you. Give me 15 minutes and I will make you moan. I mean, and you're saying I can't do this where anybody can hear me, and you're sending very graphic photos. I mean, we're clinically graphic photos here, right? And you're saying this is for revenge?
Yeah, but also by this time we're not even together anymore.
Well, I'm not talking about what this has to do with Kane. I'm talking about your mindset as a mother. You have to admit this is not the conduct that you would expect from the grieving mother. 21 days out, you don't know where this child is.
Right. I had already disassociated by this point from just everything. I don't even remember half of it.
One way to interpret that is, you know, woohoo, I'm free, let's rock and roll.
No.
That is one way to interpret that.
Sure, but no.
Because that sounds like, okay, got rid of husband, got rid of kids, I'm ready to party.
Yeah, no. So if you want to psychoanalyze me, if we go back, I wasn't going to mention this at all, but what Kane's in my relationship in the very beginning was highly sexual from the very beginning for years until our daughter was born. People do stupid things, and that was something stupid that I did that I can't take it back. It's already out there, right? There's nothing I can do about it other than apologize for it. But I was so far away of who I am at that point. I don't even, for us, sex was soothing, comfortable, familiar. And it's not an excuse, but It's apparently someplace I decided to go.
This was an escape.
Yeah. I did it for the wrong reasons.
What raised more suspicion towards Terri is her account of what actually happened after dropping Kyron off at school.
There's a statement, I dropped him off at the science fair at 8:15. She then said, no, we both showed up at school at 8:15. But then she said she took him to other classrooms first to look at other exhibits before going to Kyron's classroom, and she said she walked up the stairwell at the side entrance. And she says that I didn't walk him all the way to his classroom, I waved from the top of the stairs. But yet she took a picture inside his classroom.
Yep. I said to her, you were on the stairs? And she said, yes, I was on the stairs waving to him. And I said to her, that's not possible. You can't, from that side entrance, east end of the school, you cannot see Kyron's classroom if he was right next to the door from the top of the stairs. You can't.
We have a map of the school. If she was in the stairwell that you're talking about, which you can see the outline of just left of the S, she could not see the classroom.
No, because there's a wall. If you're standing on the top of the stairs, there's a wall.
So she couldn't see him.
If you are standing at the top of the stairs in the hallway and you have an unobstructed view to one end of the hallway to the next, it's like in your house, in a hallway in your house, one end of the hallway to the other. It is a straight shot. So as I said, that they haven't been there except for the first day of kindergarten. So, except after this happened. I don't understand how you cannot see. I'm not standing on the stairs. I'm in the hallway itself, right where the dot is.
She lied about where she was positioned when she saw Kyron and at the last place that she saw him.
Do you share this suspicion?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So yes. You definitely do.
Yeah, in our discussions, she talked about failing polygraphs. She gave us her account of what happened that day, and the story to her and the story to me in multiple different occasions didn't line up.
Also, how far can Kyron see?
With or without his glasses. Kyron is very shy and reserved. He always sticks by my side when we're in stores because he has this fear of not being able to see me. Kyron can see about maybe 3 feet out, so maybe on the other side of this tree he might be able to see. I remember we were standing next to each other in the pharmacy, and I literally stepped forward a couple feet because she called me, and I hear him behind me starting to hyperventilate and panic because he can't see me. In front of our house, he had lines. He did not go past them. So this is the line where Kyron won't cross. I am confident 100% that Kyron would never have left the school on his own. He would have been with somebody he knew.
After dropping him off, Terri ran a couple of errands at grocery stores until around 10:10 a.m. She had receipts to prove that she was in fact at these stores at these times. She then claimed that her daughter Kiara was suffering from an earache and she drove her around town for an hour and a half to soothe her pain. This leaves 90 minutes where Terri's whereabouts and actions are unaccounted for.
And non-specific about the roads and where. And that was part of the stories. Again, we didn't go back to the floor plan stuff, but the stories I've been told are different than what she's been told. So even the day at the school and what she did at school that day, her accounts of it to me are completely different.
What did she tell you that is different? This is important.
My story from her was that they went up that main set of stairs by the office, and they parted ways right in front of the office.
And according to law enforcement, that was her second version when they also felt like it wasn't jiving with them. They countered her in the interview, and then that's when she said she went up the front staircase.
Let me look how far he's going. He's not going that far. And even if they did split right there, you're going to tell me that he got picked up by a stranger in about 50 feet and willingly walked out the door with someone that he didn't know. Absolutely not a chance.
And that hall would have been populated.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
With tons of people that all know each other.
I was at the top of the stairs. There's 2 levels to the school.
Right.
Okay, so his class is on top. And we had done our search around at the different classrooms and then went down below because they wanted to see his kindergarten and first grade teacher to say hi to him before we were done. And so he went up the stairs by the office, and I went up the stairs that are by the gym, and then So I've got the baby, and Kiara's diaper bag, and so he beat me up, the stairs. And then he was going down the hallway. I saw him go. I stood at the top and watched him right about as he got to his door, to his classroom door. The back, last thing I remember is the back of his head.
Okay, was his classroom 209?
I believe that's the number. Just the one at the end. I never really looked at the number, but yeah.
The one at the end is 213. His parents say it's 209, which is exactly where the X is.
It's at the main entrance in the hallway on the left. That's his room.
Yeah, it goes 213, 211, 209.
Oh.
Odd numbers on this side. They say his classroom is 209.
Well, they've only been to the school the first day of kindergarten, so they wouldn't know the school very well.
I said, Kane, a perfect stranger did not walk into the school and take my son. I know that you guys are having marital problems. I know what you're doing because I've seen it. And then that was when he finally apologized to me for having an affair on me 7.5 years prior. Kyron was missing. That's what it took to break him. I believe that he was having an affair on Terri, and I told Kane that when you are married to the devil and you give her a reason to be pissed off, all of your sins are going to come back, and here we are in this situation.
You think that she might have done something to Kyron to hurt Kane?
I know of the hatred that she had for both of us.
Hurting Kyron was a way to hurt him.
I understand, but that's not what happened.
Do you think he really believes that?
No.
She then claimed to have gone to the gym between 12:40 and 1:21, before returning home and posting the science fair pictures on Facebook. At 3:30, Terri, her husband and daughter went to the bus stop to greet Kyron, only to discover the horror.
And my first thought is, why didn't I get a phone call? Why didn't somebody call me and tell me that that he's not there? Why wait all day? I have my phone on me all day long. Why is there no phone call from them?
So this child was logged in as absent early in the day.
Right.
And nobody called you all day long.
Nobody called me.
So you don't know till he's not on the bus.
Right.
You go to school and they go, oh, I thought you took him with you to go to the doctor.
She said, I thought you took him with you to Kiara's appointment, which she didn't even have an appointment that day. She thought that I took him. You have to sign out. If you're gonna take your kid from school, you have to sign out anyway. There's, right by the office, there's a sign in, sign out sheet, which should have been used.
Desiree and Kane believed that her stories didn't add up, and they believed that she had something to do with the disappearance, which Terri has to this day wholeheartedly denied. On June the 28th, 2010, less than a month since Kyron disappeared, Kane filed for divorce and even gained a restraining order against his wife. He also gained custody and left the home with their daughter Kiara. Terri was able to gain visitation rights, but only while supervised.
What happened that he was able to present to the court that they gave custody to him and required you to get remediation and only supervised visitation with your daughter?
Because of the impressions that Bobby O'Donnell, the lead investigator, had done with a restraining order from the very beginning.
What triggered the restraining order to begin with? Was it
the murder for hire thing?
The murder for hire thing?
Mm-hmm. That's false, right?
At what point in our world did Terry's rights get more important than Kyron's?
Kane's property was then extensively searched in hopes to find more evidence, but nothing was discovered. Kane was cooperative and allowed the police to search any time they wanted, but once asked for a private search to dig up his property, he refused.
There was a request to, I guess, dig up or excavate your property, your yard.
Oh, search, yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Yep.
And you said no?
Yes.
And that bothered you?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, why would you not?
I have an open invitation with law enforcement and the search and rescue teams, the certified search and rescue teams, to search my property any day, anytime. When I was called, I said no to the private search, but I immediately said, And I will continue to say right now, anytime the sheriff's office and the search and rescue teams want to come with their dogs, it's already, my property, I'll qualify with, my property's been searched more than the school has probably. And my invitation is open.
Furthermore, on the day that Kane moved out, a mysterious phone call was made to 911. It's unknown what was said or what this call was regarding, but it was used to further the investigation. Even more bizarrely, as the months rolled by after the disappearance, Desiree and Kane completely stopped communicating.
It is critically important that you two sit down with a pen and a pad and go through everything you know. You don't need to worry about past issues. You need to work together to find this child.
As the searches continued, Kyron Horman was told by an investigator that Terri had offered a landscaper by the name of Rodolfo Sanchez a lot of money to have him killed. Sanchez himself even testified to confirm this and claimed that she did this in January 2010, 5 months before Kyron disappeared, though when he was asked again by an attorney, he denied it taking place. Sanchez was even sent to confront Terri whilst wearing a wire, but no evidence came of it and no charges could be pressed.
What I understand is that he was threatened, that if he did not cooperate the way that they wanted him to, he and or his family would be deported. So there goes your story.
Did you hire or attempt to hire someone to kill your husband?
No.
Did you wish your husband dead?
No.
You didn't want him killed?
No.
Did you have a personal relationship with this landscaper?
No, he wanted one though. And there was a comment about Mother's Day. He had come out to the house to do some yard work on Mother's Day. According to him, he wanted to see me on Mother's Day. And he was dressed differently, and he had cologne on. And then he comes up to me and he said, well, I just really wanted to see you. And I was holding my daughter here, and he comes up to my left side, and he puts his arms around me and gave me a kiss by the ear and wouldn't let go. And I thought that, oh great, I'm out 5 acres in the middle of nowhere, this guy is gonna rape me right here in front of my daughter.
Did you tell your husband about it?
No.
Why not?
Because he did not know that I had a landscaper that was coming out to the house to do yard work.
This landscaper starts hitting on you.
Yes, then what am I gonna say? I already created a lie. I'm trying to give the benefit to James. I'm not, he's not paying for it. I'm paying it out of my own pocket for this landscaper to do the yard work.
You see how it begins, how people begin to look at this, because this is why I'm giving you a chance to clear these things up. Because they say, okay, you're lying to the media about the status of your marriage when it's in a downward spiral, and you say, no, everything's fine. That's all a rumor. Don't even think about it. Everything's fine, when in fact you know that he's left with a baby, that things are in serious trouble. You're lying to your husband about having a landscaper, then the landscaper's hitting on you, so now you can't say because you've lied to him about him being there, so I'm saying there's a landscaper you don't even know is here, but he's showing up with cologne on and grabbing onto me while I'm holding the baby, and so I got to tell you about that, and so you lie about that, so you lied about having him, then you lie by omission about him accosting you out there, and then you told the police, is there anybody that you can think of that might have a reason to want to take Kyron or hurt him in any way, and you describe this landscaper, but you describe him as a stranger. That's a pretty bizarre story to make up, just like, oh, she offered me $10,000 to kill her husband.
Exactly. Well, I don't know why he said that, other than he's, the cops did the same thing to me and they did the same thing to my friend, Dee Dee Spicer, is that basically they say, you tell us what we want to hear. If you don't tell us what we want to hear, we're going to make your life hell.
That's just bizarre.
Terri was given 2 polygraph tests to determine whether or not she had anything to do with Kyron's disappearance or knew who did. It's worth noting that these tests are only 97% effective and aren't admissible in a court of law. But Terri failed both tests. She was given a 3rd one but walked out midway through, whereas Kane and Desiree both took polygraph tests and both passed.
When I was with the FBI, our policy was you polygraph the mother and the father, the last person to have been with the child, and the person who reports the disappearance to the police. You polygraph those people. You ask them to take a polygraph test in any missing child case. And if you explain to the parents that this is to eliminate you from suspicion, not because you were a suspect, then I've never had a mother or father say no to me.
Yeah.
But I have had mothers or fathers fail and then take us to the body.
The first one was approximately an hour long, and reading the results took about 3 hours to do it. I'm very hard of hearing, virtually deaf in my left ear, so I have to look at people when I talk to them to understand what they're saying. He was behind me when he was doing the first polygraph. So it took me a little bit of time to process what he was saying to respond. I was gone for the 3 hours while he put it together, came back, and he just, I don't even know what was up on the screen, but he said, "You failed." And I was like, how can I possibly fail? I told the truth. The second polygraph was, the guy was in a rush.
Well, how much do you rely on reading lips?
It's heavy enough. I have to see the context of the person, what they're saying, their facial expression. It helps a lot.
You had your back to him?
Yeah, if I'm sitting this way and I'm doing it, he's right here at a table. So I can hear out of this ear. It's just, it makes it much more difficult.
Well, we spoke to Jack Tremarco, who does a lot of polygraph work for us. And he said that it's very possible for hearing to affect a test result. He said, definitely, if you have a hearing problem, that's very possible that it would affect a test result. I consider him to be the best of the best. He said, but in the pre-test portion of the polygraph, questions are reviewed and it is established that the questions are understood and that it should have been established that she wasn't hearing well before the test was given, if that was a problem.
I told him that. I told the polygrapher that.
And he still got behind you?
Yes. I told him I couldn't hear. Then he made it so that I was scooted over enough that I could hear more out of my right ear.
Did you hear the questions?
I did, but it took a minute to get them.
What did he ask you?
One of the questions was Kyron in the truck with you? Well, there's a fail right there, because he was in the truck with me on the way to school, but not when we're leaving. So that one I can't even get right. Do you know who has him, or do you know who has him or where he is? But the one that was failed was whether or not he was in the truck with me.
Some witnesses claimed that they had actually seen another individual sitting inside Terri's truck with her outside the school on the day of the disappearance. This person could lead to what happened to Kyron, but they have never been identified, and Terri denies that anybody else was in the truck with her.
Some witnesses at schools say there might have been an adult with you in the truck that morning. Was there?
No.
I'm asking you this so you can clear it up.
Sure,
I mean, if it's out
absolutely.
there, you want to respond to it, right?
I do, yep.
I'm not accusing you of somebody being in a truck with you. Hell, I don't know.
No, there was nobody in the truck with me. The only people that were in the truck with me that day going to school was my daughter, Kiara, and Kyron.
Okay.
Leaving school was just Kiara and I.
Yeah.
Furthermore, it's believed that Terri's mobile phone pinged on Sorvey Island, leading to a search there, but this was later ruled out as no evidence could place her on the island that day. Her phone did ping on a tower near the island, but there's no mobile phone tower on the island itself, and the bridge's camera doesn't pick up her crossing at any point that day. In July 2010, a month after the disappearance, Terri's friends were interrogated, including Dee Dee Spicer, who Desiree and Kane described as being one of Terri's best friends who would give her advice that clearly wasn't in the best interest of Kyron. However, Spicer was extremely cooperative and allowed the police to search her property and car and endured 3 hours worth of questioning. On the day of Kyron's disappearance, she left her gardening work at around 11:30 AM and didn't return until an hour and a half later. She claimed that she supposedly helped Terri buy an untraceable mobile phone. There's this horror that my friend is going through. If I thought for a second that she was capable of foul play, I would not have been there. She would not have been my friend in the first place.
We didn't see each other that day. I'll just answer the question for you. We had not seen each other since my birthday, which was March.
Why would the police put out this flyer?
Oh, they okayed that with me. That one right there.
Right. But that has the truck. Mm-hmm. And who are the pictures here?
That's Dee Dee on the bottom three, and that's me on the middle, and the truck that's Kane's truck on the top.
It says, part of this investigation, residents of our area are being asked if they noticed any of the people or the vehicle below. And this is the vehicle you were driving.
Yep.
And pictures of you and pictures of her.
Right.
So the police are saying, did anybody see this truck, this woman, or this woman, Dee Dee?
That flyer, though, was brought to me by the sheriff, and as was the Captain Gates who was with him, and they got my permission to use that. They said, do you care if we put this out? And I said, no.
I want to point out, Dee Dee was never named as a suspect or a person of interest in this case by the authorities, nor have you.
Right.
However, Dee Dee herself also didn't look completely innocent either. People were questioned to see if she was sighted anywhere near the school on the day of the disappearance, but she claimed that she was on a gardening job. However, once contacting her employers, they claimed that they were unable to reach her for 4 hours, and her actions on that day remain a mystery. An ex-boyfriend of hers called Jason Weishart claimed that he was incredibly shocked to discover people questioning Dee Dee actually being involved in the child's disappearance. They dated for around 10 months before splitting up in August 2009, 10 months before Kyron's disappearance. However, Weishart decided to help investigators by giving them the name of a close confidant of Spicer, as well as an address where she had lived with her aunt, which is the property that was extensively searched by police. They also searched the garden property in which she was working at the time, but nothing turned up. Weishart claimed that he was attracted to Dee Dee for her intelligence, high amount of energy, and her straightforward, matter-of-fact attitude, but admitted that her personality completely changed in January 2009, a year and a half before the disappearance, when she lost a receptionist job. She began to live on unemployment, stopped working out, and even gave up on her diet, both of which she was very passionate about in the past. Weishart admitted that he didn't know Terri Horman, but admitted that Dee Dee Spicer could be emotionally gullible and easily manipulated. Interestingly, not long after the disappearance, Dee Dee and Terri stopped talking to each other.
I have not spoken to her since probably July of 2010, so I don't have contact with her.
This is someone that came to comfort you after the fact, and you haven't spoken to her in 6 years. What happened between the two of you?
We were advised by nothing. She still supports me to my knowledge, and I know
you started to say we were advised by
our attorneys not to see each other. You have two people together that looks like there's something hinky going on. The last thing you're going to do is put those two people back together. The cops even tried to set up to have her do a sting against me or call me or something, I guess, but
you have two friends that have done absolutely nothing wrong, one supporting the other who has a missing child, and attorneys say y'all shouldn't be together, don't be friends anymore, don't support one another anymore, don't be together anymore. That's just bizarre.
You can't make this stuff up. I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah, you can.
Oh, I'm telling you. Okay.
By November the 29th, 2010, 5 months after the disappearance, the search had cost around $1.4 million.
This is a situation where you have not given up hope in any way.
I never will.
What everybody, I can hear you screaming through your television sets right now, because you're saying with all of these accusations against Terri, why isn't she considered a suspect? Well, Dr. Phil, legal expert, is here.
I'm not here to defend Terri, but I am here to help you guys understand the process, because it's been 3 years. And seeing what hasn't happened kind of gives you an idea of what's going on here. There hasn't been an arrest. There hasn't been a suspect that's been identified. There hasn't been a person of interest. And there hasn't been any charges. And the reason for that is that You have a case here involving a missing person. We don't know what actually happened to your son. So it puts the prosecution in a very precarious situation because they don't know what the threshold is or what crime.
Out of all of this that we've talked about, have you heard a list of any physical evidence?
I haven't heard any physical evidence.
Have you heard any direct evidence?
The direct evidence that I've heard would be pointing away from guilt, at least as regard to Terri. We've heard a lot of things today about Terri, but there's nothing that is directly related to the disappearance of your child that I've heard that incriminates her.
Why was I not ever charged? Because I'm not guilty.
On June the 1st, 2012, just shy of 2 years since Kyron was last seen, Desiree filed a lawsuit against Terri, believing that she was responsible for the disappearance of her son. She was convinced that she had kidnapped him and wanted $10 million. On August the 15th, Terri tried to delay the lawsuit but failed. In October that same year, Spicer was asked 142 questions about the lawsuit, but refused to answer any of them, including simple questions about her whereabouts on the day of the disappearance. She even refused to identify a photo of Kyron or whether or not she had met him or knew his father, Kane.
I really don't have anything I can say about Kane other than I know that he's lying. He lied through his teeth in order for him to gain a house, to gain money. Desiree needs to get a grip and understand this is about finding Kyron, and she knows darn well by misrepresenting, by fabricating, and just for her hate in me alone, she needs to help get the focus back on him.
She said that you made Kyron's disappearance about you, made it about her, that you got hair done and put on makeup and went to the gym after the disappearance, and that she just found that really strange.
She did her hair, makeup, and had her Starbucks coffee on a daily basis.
On July the 30th, 2013, 3 years since the disappearance, Desiree did decide to finally drop the lawsuit, as to not interfere with the police investigation and to focus on finding her son instead. Her and Kane then went on to Dr. Phil to hopefully spread the word further, and 3 years later, 6 years since Kyron was last seen, Terri followed suit and finally spoke out for the first time since the disappearance.
There are so many misperceptions. Why wait this long to try to correct those things?
I haven't wanted to wait this long. I was advised from the beginning by law enforcement, by my husband at the time, by attorneys in the beginning, not to say anything. I was advised not to. I've always wanted to. I've asked multiple times to speak out and have not been allowed.
I'm really frustrated that it's been 6 years, people telling you not to talk, because people who have nothing to hide nothing. And
Exactly.
A little boy has been missing for 6 years, and this is the #1 talk show in America. This is the #1 place you can come and get in front of the most eyeballs across this country to raise awareness, beat the drum, and hold this little boy's face and picture up, and people tell you don't come and do that.
Exactly.
That is bizarre to me.
Well, they've got to keep it down, because there's a lot of political corruption going on in Portland with the law enforcement, and in order for them to keep things under wraps, not tell the truth, there's exonerating evidence about me. And rather than tell the public what's going on, they'd rather keep their jobs and not look for a little boy. That's their focus. It's not on him.
However, that same year, Terri was arrested for driving a stolen car in Northern California, as well as stealing her roommate's gun. Just a few months on, and she was hit with a restraining order by her boyfriend, Joseph Cristobal. Terri had allegedly held a knife up to him and threatened to kill him and his family. She was trying to put a knife, a kitchen knife, to my face, and then she was telling me that if I talk to law enforcement that something is going to happen to me or my family. I now fear for my life. I don't even know what she's capable of. She has 2 phones, one that she calls a burner phone and one that she normally uses for her personal use.
They made a big point out of the fact that you had said, in referring to Kyron, that you loved him. Past tense.
I did not. I told her, I want you to know how much I love your son. I felt horrible. What am I supposed to say to this woman? It's sitting in my house. I take, him to school and he's gone. What am I supposed to say to her? There's no words that I can do to make her feel better. I was trying to just let her know how much I love him. I was trying to give her ownership. That's why I said, I want you to know I love your son. That's what I was trying to do.
Well, I think her point was saying, you said it in the past tense, that I loved him, like he's no longer here.
I understand what she's trying to suggest, and it's wrong.
In May 2017, 7 years after Kyron was last seen, the case remained open and police were still looking for new leads. They were still administering searches alongside Skyline Boulevard, but there was still no evidence found. In June 2018, Desiree posted on Facebook promising that something big was coming, but nothing has been said since.
That you had the opportunity to bury Kyron in the backyard where no one could see.
She actually said that?
Yes.
Oh, she must be referring to where Kane is at now, at the house? That's what she's suggesting? The answer is no.
I don't blame Kane for Kyron's disappearance. I want to make that very clear. However, the things that I have a hard time with is the fact that I feel like things were happening in the year prior to Kyron going missing that I was bringing attention to, and I don't know if you were busy with your life or what was going on, but it was just ignored. And I feel like in that, we failed Kyron. We didn't protect him.
That's interesting. A lot of the dialogue was more between you and Terri than you and I. She made deliberate attempts to put herself in the middle of the communication. So your emails, I never saw your emails. Her and I never spoke about them. Okay, I didn't even know about it.
What do you think happened to Kyron?
I think that somebody came in the school and took him. As far as what my concern is, that somebody else had come into the school, it was open. The protocol is you're supposed to have only the front door unlocked, and all the doors were unlocked. And roughly, from what I understand, about 400 people came in and out of that school. No badges, no signing in or out.
Does Terri Moulton know something about her stepson's disappearance? Or is she truly an innocent mother caught in the crossfire of a tragic kidnapping? Did somebody else enter the school grounds and kidnap this innocent child? And more importantly, is he still out there somewhere, begging to be rescued? It has been 11 years since Kyron Horman was last seen, and we are still seeking answers.